Hello, and welcome to HOMTV's Meet Your Elected Officials series. I'm Katie Schroeder, and joining me today is Meridian Township Board Trustee Courtney Wisinski. Trustee Wisinski, why don't you start by telling the community a little bit about yourself?
First off, thank you for having me. I truly appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and to our residents. Courtney Wisinski, Meridian Township Trustee. My husband and I have lived in Meridian Township for almost 18 years now. So we've been here for a while. We have two children, both go to Okemos Public Schools. Prior to serving on the board, I was actually a member of the Park Commission for about 2 years, which got me interested in more and more opportunities as serving as an elected official. I have a background in environmental science as well as a master's in public health, and I currently work for the State Health Department in environmental health. I'm currently, in addition to the board, I'm currently a member of the Environmental Commission, as well as just recently appointed to the Groundwater Management Board as a member as well. I'm passionate about diversity, equity, inclusion, and I really have a strong passion for environmental sustainability. I think all of those things make such a fantastic community, which is why I love living in Meridian.
Can you talk a little bit about your time on the Park Commission and talk more about how that influenced you to want to be on the board?
Sure. So a childhood dream of mine was to be a park planner. And so I went to school for college at the College of Ag for natural resource development. Ended up in a little bit different path, but there was an opportunity and I saw a position open as a park commissioner. So I applied, I interviewed, and it was competitive, but I was so very grateful and lucky to be appointed to the Park Commission. And that was in 2017, and then come 2018, so it was just a little under 2 years. Julie Brixey had been elected as House Representative for our district, and so it left a position open on the board. And so I noticed that I really enjoyed working with the township. I really enjoy the management. I really enjoy serving in a capacity where I can actually have some input on decision making. And so when that position arose, I was appointed in would have been January 2018. So I hadn't served for a full year, 4 years prior to this election, but I was very excited for this election as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you enjoy doing in your free time in the community? What do you enjoy? What sticks out to you? What do you enjoy doing?
Well, of course, Parks and Rec, right? So I really enjoy it. We spend a lot of time outside. We're really involved in sports. My son plays for Okemos High School baseball. He was an umpire. My daughter plays lacrosse and softball. Both Dan and I have coached. Dan coached football, I coach softball. So we really like to be on the ball field, if you will. And when we're not doing that, we really just like to volunteer at different events, like recycling events. And I just became a member of the Red Cedar, Friends of the Red Cedar. And of course, we go to the parks all the time. I thought maybe this year, due to COVID, I might try pickleball, as that's relatively new, but I'm always trying new things and try to get the kids outside as much as possible, especially this past year.
Yes, awesome. So how does it feel holding a leadership role within the community of Meridian? How do you feel about that?
It's certainly an honor. And, I never really aspired to be a bureaucrat nor a politician, but now I'm both. And I really enjoy it. And I think they complement each other really well, especially with background in environmental science and that public health and social justice background. I think it's a really important qualities that I can bring to the board. And so it is an honor. I'm learning every day. There's more to this job than anybody can probably imagine, because you're not expert at anything. You have to be knowledgeable in everything. So making partnerships and friendships amongst people that have some of the information and or education that you don't have is really, really important. So I really rely on my other board members. I rely on management. I certainly rely on the residents and the public that give me their perspective as well. So I really enjoy it. I really like to put some time and effort into it. And I hope that we can just, follow through with all our goals this year or these next 4 years.
Yes, and I know you said you hadn't served a full four years yet, but thus far, what is like one of the accomplishments that you're most proud of in your position as trustee that has happened thus far?
Well, it's been a little bit of a challenging year. And so we had one thing that has materialized and has been fantastic is we passed the road millage, and we plan to repair or repave all 147 miles of our roads. And last year alone, we were nearly at 19. Doesn't seem like a lot. Think about how long a mile is and what it takes to repair those. So I think that was a significant accomplishment. We also secured both funders and developers for downtown Okemos and downtown Hazlet, although those have been put on hold due to COVID and some funding concerns. We still plan to work through those this year and into next year, and hopefully, redevelop those both downtowns, which is really important to this community. If there's one thing in the community I think we're lacking, it's probably those downtowns. So that's really important. And then, truly just, I've worked with Trustee Opsimer and Trustee Jackson, as well as management team, Manager Walsh and our new HR manager, T. Hoff, to develop our diversity, equity, and inclusion plan for our workforce in Meridian Township. We declared, last year, racism as a public health crisis here in Meridian, as well as we passed a resolution for fair employment, or some people call it ban the box. So we take off that checkbox that asks, have you ever been convicted of a felony or a criminal background, until you make it through that first couple components of employment. So at time of candidacy, yes, we have to start looking at maybe, what may affect the position that that person may be in, but it gives people much fairer chance of making it to that point. There's so many other things, but I think for me specifically for the year and a little bit that I was here, those were some big accomplishments.
Yeah. So, can you tell me about a big challenge that you faced, either in this position or in prior position, and how you overcame it or are working to overcome it right now?
So of course, this past year, our biggest challenge has been COVID. So we really, it came out of nowhere. We really had to respond very quickly. And I'll give credit to both Chiefs Plaga and Hamill, as well as Manager Walsh, put together a COVID task force very quickly, came up with a response plan on how we are going to protect both of our fire and our police, as well as how we're going to respond to the public. So that was initiated within the first few weeks of our pandemic outbreak. Then throughout that, we had to figure out, what do our residents need? Because we know that there's people and businesses out there that are going to face both financial, emotional, mental challenges. So we thought about how can we help folks in those needs. So we added, I think, $62,000 to our Meridian Cares Fund, brought them up to $200,000 so that anybody in need can go and say, hey, I'm having a hard time this month, or maybe I need something for, long term, but it gives that opportunity to be able to help folks that have that need, either previously or now as a result of COVID. In addition, our businesses are suffering, as you can imagine. And so we put together several grants. One of them was almost 162,000, and the other one was another, I can't remember, I want to say 80 something, to give to small businesses. So they could apply for these loans to help with whatever they need, whether it be, lights, electricity, maybe it's staffing. So that's been very challenging. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily taken away from our other goals, but we've had to reassess and redirect our efforts, really, so that we can make sure that people are well taken care of here in Meridian. So that would probably be our biggest challenge last year, for sure. And still probably this year to come.
Yes, for sure. We definitely are not out of the COVID-19 pandemic,
No,
unfortunately.
unfortunately.
So what made you want to serve for 4 years, for 4 upcoming years, the next 4 years? What made you want to serve the next 4 years?
Well, like I told you, I really haven't served a full term either at the Park Commission nor as a board member, as a trustee. So I'm really excited to really, develop our goals and see those goals through the end. Um, there's still the previous boards and management have done a fantastic job. I mean, that's why we're the best place to live in Michigan. But there's still a lot of work to do. So I still really want to focus on, those downtown efforts and redevelopments. Certainly the diversity, equity, inclusion plan. And then, like you said, we'll have to still continue our response to COVID. So we've got a lot of work still to do. And I'm excited to work with this board and this management team to get that done.
Yes, and you did bring it up. So Meridian was voted #1 in Michigan, place to live. But then this week, Niche just announced they were voted #6 in the whole country of places
Yes.
to live. So how does that make you feel? And like, was your reaction to finding that out?
Well, first, of course, you're proud, right? Proud as certainly as a resident, proud as a parent, and then as a board member. But more as a board member, that's a lot of, lot to work towards again, right? So there's some big shoes there. But just that gives encouragement and excitement to continue all of these efforts that previous boards have done and that the goals we have coming for the next 4 years. So yeah, it's very exciting. And it just makes you want to work that much harder.
Yeah, you also mentioned you're looking forward to the projects and seeing them through in the next 4 years. Do you have one in particular that you're most looking forward to in the next 4 years and seeing how that turns out?
I have two. Can I have two? um, like I mentioned several times, my passion is with diversity, equity, inclusion, and we have a fantastically diverse community amongst everything, amongst our age, amongst our culture, amongst our race. And I really want to work to embrace that and get more diversity into our workforce, which will then materialize out into our community. So that's going to take a lot of work. I always say it's not a conversation, it's a dialogue. So it's going to take some time to do. And so I really want to, that'll take up a lot of time. But then also I really want to see the downtown Okemos and Hazlet through fruition. There's been challenges over years, tens of years, specifically to Okemos. And if there's one thing when I moved here, thought this is what our community is missing, that gathering place, that place, that destination for folks to go. We do have the marketplace on the green, which I think is a very good interim. But then to have that walkable downtown where people truly want to visit, I think those two things I really want to focus on.
Yeah, in regards to land preservation. Okay. In regards to land preservation and recreation, what do you think should be the top priority of the board, and what are you most looking forward to doing in regards to that?
Well, one thing that we are already working on and will be completed soon is completing the MSU to Lake Lansing pathway. So I think that'll be fantastic just to be able to, pretty much get regionally by walking or on a bike is just amazing. So I love the efforts that the Parks and Rec departments put in with our regional partners to make sure that happens. And one thing that I think we do need to work on a little bit more, and I'm working with some folks on the Environmental Commission as well as some residents on protecting wetlands. We have, being the best place to live in Michigan, people want to come and live here. So we're going to have to create housing to do that in other developments. But in the meantime, we have to be very conscious of our natural environment. That's one of the things that make us such a wonderful place. So there's a fine line of very intentional development, looking at our master plan, abiding by our master plan, and then preserving the wetlands and other natural resources. I think that was probably one thing we might need the most in these upcoming years with this increase in population and development.
Yeah, you mentioned pickleball and parks just recently. What is your favorite park to go to, either by yourself or with your family? And why is that your favorite park, would you say?
It's hard because you go to different parks for different reasons. So when we want to go just for a walk, like a nature walk, we like Leg Park. So we spend some time at Leg Park. But like I mentioned, I'm on the ball field a lot. So there's several parks that we go to for that. And it's escaping my name by right now, Hartwick Park or Hartrick Park. Um, so that's probably where my favorite fields to coach and play ball on. So, but all of them are great, and it depends. Do you want to see the river? Do you want to be in the woods? Do you want prairie? Um, do you want activity, or do you just want nature? We have so many, 900 acres of parks that you can really go to do anything. So it's hard to pick just a couple.
Yes, I imagine with all those options, it must be pretty hard. How do you connect with township residents in the community? And what do you think they want to see in the next 4 years?
It's been hard because we have been inside. It's even hard when you're not in a boardroom with your board members, interacting in a physical form, right? It's everything's been on Zoom and everything's been inside. So it's been really hard, even during campaigning. We couldn't go door to door, it was difficult. So you had to come up with different ways to connect with residents and to stay open, and so that people feel comfortable coming to you. So using social media is one way. I always encourage people to call. My cell phone number is on my card. My cell phone number is on the website. And I do get several calls per week from residents. So I welcome that. And there's some I talk to weekly. It just depends on the issue or, where we're at. So, it has been tricky. I'm hoping that this summer, as, we continue to wear our masks, social distance, get our vaccines, we'll be able to be out in the community more. Even last year, I wasn't even on, we weren't even on softball field. So we weren't at baseball. So all of the parents and the coaches that generally we connect with, we didn't get that. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to safely do that this summer and be able to talk to people more one-on-one, and just, stay open and transparent and welcoming. I always welcome anybody to call, good, bad, or indifferent. We'll work through it.
Yes. One of the questions I had was, do you believe in a diverse community? And I know you said you did. So why is that so important for you here in Meridian to create?
Um, so, so I think we have a diverse community, which is fantastic. More than, maybe not as much as Lansing, but more than other communities that are of similar to our township. We have a large Asian American population and Asian population that you don't see in a lot of communities. So that's fantastic. I just really think a diverse community, whether it be, race, age, gender, whatever it may be, brings value to your community, right? It brings perspective. And if, we can promote equitable treatment among our residents, we just create a much more productive and better society to live in. Everybody wants to feel welcome. Everybody deserves to feel welcome. And embracing some of those differences is really just exciting to me. I love learning different cultures and different people and different perspectives, and being open to that. I think we can really just make a difference, and continue to be the best place to live. I mentioned that we are working on, internally on a plan for improving diversity, equity, inclusion in the workforce. So we've had fantastic support from all the management team, as well as board members to do that. And I think if we can start there, and we can bring that a much more diverse. When people walk into Township Hall, they want to see people that look like yourself, or understand maybe different components of culture or language or whatever it may be. If we can create that environment within our own township structures, I think that will bring more people to our community, and they'll want to be here and they'll want to work with us. So I feel it's just a really important thing for here in the United States, especially after the last 4 years, to just embrace culture, embrace peace, embrace positivity amongst each other, and just, push away hate and racism and implicit bias.
So with the COVID-19 pandemic still being an issue, what is the board doing to ensure people feel safe while using recreation facilities or like township parks?
I'll say that the board hasn't had to have too much involvement because our Parks and Rec department has really taken a very proactive approach. So, I know that their mission is for both, physical and mental and social health, to get people back out to the parks, right? So they have begun to open up for youth and adult sports. I know they're working directly with MDHHS as well as MParks and the National Recreation Park Association to do that, and how they can make sure that everybody's safe while playing those sports or interacting in those activities, including face masks and social distancing. So maybe reducing the amount of spectators. Um, with respect to some of the other parks and not necessarily organized activity, the pavilions have been open, the parks have been open for recreation, and they just try to manage social distancing, wearing masks, but it gives that opportunity for you to either hold meetings in the parks or just meet with friends in an outdoor environment. So that's something that has been open for a little while. Um, and then the farmers market actually was open all the way through the entire pandemic. And so maybe a few weeks we were shut down, but then, they've done a fantastic job of making sure it's a safe place to go, enforcing masks, enforcing social distancing. So I know they're taking every precaution and being extra safe, especially knowing that we're coming up on summer months where people are actually going outside. But I'll give them 100% credit. We haven't had to have any input on that whatsoever.
So in your position as so in your position as trustee, what makes you so passionate about it, and what makes Meridian so special to you?
Um, so passion about my community. So I really love to serve the community instead of taking a stance of, maybe complaining about how things are or wishing things were a different way. I really think I step into a position to be able to be a decision maker. Um, and Meridian is just a fantastic place to live. And we've just got so many benefits and things that make us so wonderful that it makes me proud to be able to embrace those differences, embrace our natural resources, and just encourage that we continue with intentional planning and protecting our wetlands, protecting our parks, and creating that, like I said, that destination, that place people want to be at. And when it's safe, we can all congregate at. So those downtowns in our marketplace on the green. So it's just very exciting at this time to be able to move forward outside of the pandemic and continue as a wonderful community.
So is there anything else you'd like the residents of Meridian Township to know about you or the board and their efforts this year? I'll kind of leave it open to whatever you'd like to say.
Sure. I would just like to say, you asked how do you interact with residents, and it has been hard, but I just it's so hopeful when we have residents that take time to volunteer, like the amount of people that turn up at places, different events to volunteer, to see people using our parks and natural resources, and then how many people truly take the time to reach out to their elected officials and show up at board meetings, even on Zoom. That takes time out of your day. And I really want to thank each and every person for that. It makes it easier on our jobs when we have everybody, contributing. So I just really want to thank all of our residents for that. And I do hope to see more people this summer. And again, I just want to welcome any input at any time. Call my cell phone anytime. If I can't answer, I'll call you back, I promise.
Awesome. Thank you, Trustee Wisinski, for joining me and taking time out to talk to the community about yourself and about your goals for the next 4 years with the community.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thanks to HOMTV for always being there.